Hello, boys and girls. Today we are going to compare and order whole numbers. So let's go ahead and look at what we have here. Let's look at letter A. So for letter A, it says I have 52,527, and the other number is 52,632. So now that I have both of my numbers to compare, I'm going to get a piece of paper. And I'm going to draw a quick place value chart to help me with this. Because I want to figure out if it's greater or less than. Some of you can already see it, but I want to go step by step. So I'm going to start off my highest number. It's in the 10,000s place. So I'm going to start off with my 10,000. Then I'm going to start off and then my 1,000. And then after that I have a comma. And I have my hundreds, tens, and ones. So let's start off with this first number. My first number is 52,000, so I'm going to put 52,527. So I have 527. Now, let's look at my next number. My next number is 52,632. Those are the two numbers that I'm comparing. Whenever we compare our numbers, I want to start off with our highest place value. So let's look, what is our highest place value? Is it the ones? No, our highest place values is the 10,000s place. So let's look at both of them. I'm going to get this number. Let's look at both of them. I have a 5 in my 10,000s place, and I have a 5 here in my 10,000s place. They're the same. So I'm going to put a little check, check. They have the same digits. Now let's look at our thousands place. I have a 2 and then a 2. Also the same. Check, check. Now in my hundreds place, I have a 5 and I have a 6. So this is where we have a different number. So I need us to compare. I have a 5 in my hundreds and a 6 in my hundreds. If I just had these two digits, which would be bigger? My 6. My 6 has a larger value in the hundreds place. So which number is greater? My 6 is greater. Not my 5, but my 6. Now I just stop there because I have the highest value that is higher, which is my 6. So that means my number that is greater is 52,632. So now let's look at our paper. Our paper says 52,527 is blank 52,632. So let's look. I've already said that this one's greater, and then this one is less. So how should I write that? 52,527 is less than, this one's less than 52,632. So what should my answer be? B. B is my answer. So now we're done with question number 1. So that was question number 1. So I'm going to put a number 1 right here. Or A. I should put A. That is my letter A. Now I'm going to move on to letter B. So it says here, 388,956 is blank to 386,850. So here, same process, but now our numbers are higher. We have our 100,000s. So this is what I'm going to write. I'm going to do another place value chart. This is my 100,000s, and then it's my 10,000s. Then it's my 1,000s, my comma. I then have my hundreds place, my tens place, and my ones. So I'm going to go ahead and underline all that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write my first number. There's a 3 in my 100,000s place. There's an 8 in my 10,000s place. There's an 8 in my thousands place. A 9 in my hundreds place. A 6 in my tens. And a 5 in my ones. So that is the first number. Now I'm going to put the second number it gives me. Now I have 3 in my 100,000s, 8 in my 10,000s, 6 in my thousands, an 8 in my hundreds, a 5 in my tens, and a 0 in my ones. So these are the two numbers that I am comparing. So now let's check it out. Let's do the same process. So for number 1, we said that my highest place value was 10,000. Now, for this one, my highest will be my 100,000s. So now let's start with our 100,000s. I have a 3 in my 100,000s for my first number, and I also have a 3 for my second, so these are the same. I have an 8 in my 10,000s for my first number, and then an 8 on my second. These are the same. Now here, I'm in my thousands place. And I notice that there is two differences. So I have an 8 in my thousands place and a 6 in my thousands place. Of these two, which is my largest number? 8. So 8 is my largest, so I'm going to check mark it and circle it. That is my larger number, and I stop there. I do not continue on. This is where I stop to check. So now that I know this is larger, then I know this whole number on top is my larger number. So let's read it. 388,965 is what to 386,850? Is it greater than or is it less than? Well, we already decided that this is greater, so I'm putting a 1 and a 2 here. So this is greater than. This is greater than. So my answer should be F. Perfect. Great job. So now, let's look at letter C. Now C here has two symbols. So I'm going to show you what those symbols mean. So now let's look. I'm going to write on this paper what it means. So I have a symbol that looks similar to this, and I have a symbol that looks like this. Now this symbol means it is less than. This means that it is greater than. So I'll have a number here and a number here. And I want us to remember that the alligator likes to eat the greater number. So can you see here that when there's a number and it's here on this dot, that means it is less than. Here I have this number and the mouth is wide open. I know it is greater than. So we're going to do the same process we once did. And we're going to compare these two numbers. So for letter C, I have also a number in my 100,000s place. So again, I am going to label my place value chart. Please do this as well. This is my 10,000s, and then this is my thousands place, my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. So remember, we're looking at letter C. So now let's go ahead and compare. Let's look at our first number on letter C. I'm going to start off by looking at my thousands period, and I have 210, so I have a 210. Now I'm going to look at my ones period. My ones period says I have 761, so I have 761. Now I'm going to compare my second number. My second number in my thousands period also says I have 210, so I have 210 on my thousands period. On my ones period, I have 176. So now let's compare. Let's look at our hundred thousands place, because remember, we start off with our greatest place value, and that is our 100,000s. So we have a 2 here and a 2 here. So I'm going to check that is the same. I can't. Those are equal. 1 and 1 also, they are equal. 0, 0 also equal. Now here I have a 7 and a 1. Which number is greater, 7 or 1? Correct, 7 is a greater number. So I'm going to circle my 7, put a check mark, and I'm stopping right there. So that means that this number is greater than this number. So 210,761 is greater than 210,176. So now we have to compare. Now let's look here. We know that this one right here is our larger number. We've already marked that. So I know this one is greater. So we have to think, where does my alligator like to point at? So I'm going to write this again on my piece of paper. I'm going to write 210,761, 210,176. So I want, which one is my greater number? This one. So I want you to put a dot next to our value that is smaller and 2 dots where it is greater. So 1 dot where it is less, 2 dots where it is greater, and I want you to connect the dots there. So which symbol would that be? Would that be F, or would that be A, or would that be B? Correct, it would be A. A would be my answer here. Now let's look at letter D. And let's repeat the same process. Remember, every time I need you to do your place value chart. So I know D, I have my, this is now back to my 10,000. So I have 10,000. And then I have my thousands, comma. Then I have my hundreds. Then I have my tens. And then I have my ones. So let's see. I have 41,000. So I have 41,593. Now I'm going to look at my second number. I have another 41,917. Before we compare, I'm going to rewrite how I see it on my paper, on this paper. So I see that there is 41,593, a circle, 41,917. Okay, so now let's compare. I have a 4 in my 10,000s place. I also have a 4 in my 10,000s place. So these are the same. I have a 1 in my thousands and a 1 in my thousands. They are also equal. I have a 5 in my hundreds and a 9 in my hundreds. Are these equal? No, 5 and 9 are not equal, but I can decide which one is larger. So which one is larger, 5 or 9? Correct, 9. So I'm going to circle my 9, put a check mark because this is my greater number, and I just stop there. I do not continue. So I know this is greater than. So on your paper, I want you to look. We have decided that 41,917 is greater. So I'm going to put a check mark here. This is our greater number. So where do I draw my symbol? Remember, like I said, I need you to put 2 dots closer to our larger number and 1 dot on our one that is less than. So I'm going to put a 1 dot that is in less than and 2 that is in greater. So that means my alligator wants to eat more. Never wants to eat less. It always wants to eat more. So of this, which is my answer choice, F or G? I want you to think about that. F or G? Correct. It is G. Awesome. Now that we've already done A, B, C, and D, let's now move on to letter E. So here, we have here a number. Is it in standard form? No, we have to make it into standard form. So let's see. I can still start off with my place value chart. So in my place value chart, I see that they started with my 100,000. So I am going to write that. I'm going to write my 100,000. After I have my 100,000s, I have my 10,000s. Then I have my thousands, comma, hundreds, tens, and ones. So let's look here. What number do I have on my 100,000s? I have a 900. So that means I need to put a 9. Then I have a 3 in my 10,000s. So I put a 3 in my 10,000s. Do I have a 1,000? No, it goes straight to 400. So I know that this is a 0. Now I have a 4 in my hundreds. So I need to add my comma. So I have a 4 here. My tens, I have a 9. And my ones, I have a 2. So I have 930,492. Now let's look at our second number. I also have a 9 in my 100,000s place, a 3 in my tens place, a 9 in my thousands place, and 471. 4 in my hundreds, 7 in my tens, 1 in my ones. So I want to compare again. And this time, I want to ask you, where do I start comparing? Do I just start over here or over here? No, I need to start with my highest place value. And what is my highest place value? The 100,000. That is my highest place value. So I'm going to compare now. I'm going to look. I have a 9 and then I have a 9. Are they equal? Yes, they are the same. So I put a check mark there. Now I'm going to look at my 10,000s place. Since either they were equal here, I have to move on to the next one. 3 and 3, are these equal? Yes. So again, I'm going to check it because they are equal. Now to my thousands place. A 0 and a 9. Are these equal? No. One is greater than the other. Which one would you say is greater? 0 or 9? Perfect. 9 is greater. So I'm going to circle 9, put a check mark because that's where I stop. I already know, just with this one in my thousands place, that this is my greater number. So this is greater than. Now, I need to compare. I'm going to start off with the number it gave me first, which is 930,492. 92. And then I have a circle. And my next number is 939,471. Again, we already decided, or we've already proven, that this is my greater number. So I'm going to put a check mark here. I have 2 dots facing the direction of my larger number and 1 dot at my smaller number, and I connect it. Again, the alligator wants to eat the larger number. Never forget that. So what symbol matches this? A or B? A or B? Correct. B would be my answer. Now, let's look at letter F. This one says order the numbers from greatest to least. So I'm going to write on my paper that we're going to order greatest to least. Make sure we have that written down somewhere because this is how we need to remember. I don't want to make easy mistakes that I don't have to make. So how many numbers am I comparing here? I'm comparing 4 different numbers. So before I make my place value chart, I'm just going to look at my highest digit. So let's look at my highest place value actually. So I have my 100,000s, 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 100,000s. So I know all 4 of them are in their 100,000s. So I'm going to put this into my place value. I'm going to start off with the first one. Let's do my 100,000s, my 10,000s, my thousands, my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. So now let's write down our first number, and our first number is 252,531. That's our first number. Now let's write our second number. 152,403. Now onto our third. 151,341. Now, last but not least, 252,435. Those are our 3 numbers. Our 4 numbers that we are comparing. So now let's look one by one. So first, let's try to start by looking for our greatest number because you want to order it from greatest to least. So let's look. We're going to compare one by one. Let's look here. There's a 2 in my 100,000s place, and there is a 1 in my 100,000s place. Which one is greater? Correct, our 2. So now let's compare for this one to our third one. 2 and 1. Which one is greater? Our 2. Now let's look for our fourth number. There's a 2 in the 100,000s and a 2 in our 100,000s. And remember, we start with our 100,000s place because that is our largest place value. So far I have 2 in the 100,000s for 2 numbers. So far, these are my greatest. Now, let's go to our 10,000s place and compare the top and the bottom. So let's look. There's a 5 in the thousands place. There's a 5 in the thousands place. So far, these are the same on our 10,000s place. Now let's look at our 1,000s. There's a 2 in the thousands place. There's a 2 in the thousands place. So far, these are very similar. Now let's go on to our hundreds. Since there's no difference between our hundreds, our 100,000s, 10,000s, and thousands between these two larger numbers, I go down each one. Now I'm at my hundreds. I have a 5 in my hundreds for this number and a 4 for this number. These are different. So I'm going to box these in. Which one is greater, 5 or 4? My 5 is greater. So I have my 5 that is greater. So overall, this number is first. So I'm going to put a 1. So my greatest number is 252,531. That is my largest number. So now I'm going to look for my second one. So here we have a 1, 1, and 2. This one is already out. We've already established that this one is the greatest. Now we're going to compare these three next. Now we have these three to compare. And we go again to our hundred thousands place because that is our largest place value. I have a 1, 1, and a 2. So let's look. Which one is greater? These are the same. They have the same value. And then there is 2. And 2 is greater than both of these. So what's next? This number right here. So I'm going to write 252,435. Those two are my greatest numbers. Now I need to check between these two right here. So now let's compare. I have a 1 in my hundred thousands because we compare with our highest place value. And I have a 1. These are the same. They are equal. We can't distinguish which one's greater, which one's less than. So we go on to our next place value. I have a 5 in my 10,000s. I have a 5 in my 10,000s. These are equal. Same thing. I can't distinguish on which one's greater or less than since these are equal. And I go on to my next place value. I have a 2 in my thousands and then a 1 in my thousands. Which one is greater, 2 or 1? Exactly. My 2 is greater, so I'm going to circle my 2. So that means this number is my next greatest number. So now I'm going to write down 152,403. Since this is my third largest number, I know that this one is my least. And I will then write 151,341. That is from greatest to least. Greatest to least. So let's check. I have 252 for my top number, 252,000. Right here, 5 is greater than 4. So far, that is number 1. And then I have, comparing the rest, I have a 200,000, and these have 100,000, so I know this is my second. I have 152,000. I have 151,000. This 2 is greater, so this is correct. This is my answer. Now let's go ahead and move on to letter G. I'm going to put here on the side. And we are working on letter G. So I also have to order now from least to greatest. Now, not greatest to least. So I'm going to write that. I'm going to order least to greatest. That is very important in this. So now, before I begin, before I even start writing on my paper, I'm going to see what highest place value they have. 10,000s, 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 10,000s. So all my numbers are up to the 10,000s place. So I'm going to write that down. So now I'm going to put right here, this is my 10,000s place, my thousands, my 10,000s place, my thousands, and then my comma. And I then have my hundreds, tens, and 1s. So I'm going to write down my numbers on letter G exactly how I see them. So my numbers are 95,000. My numbers in my hundreds are 378. My next number is 94,378. Next up is my 94,730. 783. Now, my last number, 95,873. I'm going to compare each of these numbers. I'll box them in. And I'm going to check them. I'm going to go one by one. So now let's see. I have a 9 in my 10,000s. I have 9s in all of them. So they are all equal. So I can't compare. So I have to go to my next place value. And remember, we started at our 10,000s place because that is our largest place value. So then we go on to our thousands place. I see that there's a 5, a 4, 4, and 5. I know these are equal, and I know these two are equal. But from these two and these two, which one is greater? That's right, our 5 is greater. So I'm going to box in our 5s. Those two are greater. So since I know that they're greater than our 4s, I'm going to stop right there. I'm not even going to look at these two anymore. I'm going to look at these two. Because I know that this is from least to greatest. So I'm looking for my 4th place, what comes in last. So let's look. I have a 5 and a 5. Now I'm going to go to my hundreds place between these two. I have a 3 and I have an 8. Which one is larger? 3 or 8? That's right, my 8 is larger. I'm going to circle my 8 and check mark it because that's where I stop. I stop right there. Since this is my greatest, and this is going from least to greatest, I'm going to put the number 4 here because this is in last place, since this is my greater number, because it's from least to greatest. So this is 4. Now, I know my second greatest number is this one right here, 95,378. Now that I know that, this is my 3rd place. Now, let's see who comes out number 1 between these two. So we said that these are equal. I can't distinguish which one's greater or less than because they are equal. I go to my 10,000s, same situation. Now I go to my 3 and my 7. Which one is greater, 3 or 7? My 7 is greater. So this right here is where I stop. This is my greater number. And remember, we're going from least to greatest. So this means this is in 2nd place. And last but not least is my 1st place. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. We're going from least to greatest. So which one's the number 1? 94,378 is my number 1. That is my least. What is next? 94,783. So I have my 1, 2. Now I need my 3rd place, which is 95,378. Then in last place, which is my greatest number, is 95,873. This is from least to greatest. From least to greatest. And this one was from greatest to least. Now we finished with letter G. Let's go ahead and continue with letter H. So now I'm going to go on to letter H. So let's go ahead and start ordering our numbers, but I want to look first at where we start. We start at the 10,000s place, so that's what I'm going to draw. I'm going to start off with my 10,000s place, and then onto my thousands, my comma, my hundreds, tens, ones. So now I'm going to start off by writing the first number I see, which is 36,468. Now I have 36,545. Now I have 36,455. Now for my last number that's here, I have again 36,574. And I'm going to compare each of these. So let's look at our paper. It says that I want to order my numbers from greatest to least. So I'm going to write here. This is from greatest to least. I want to make emphasis on that, greatest to least. So now let's check. So now I'm going to look at my 10,000s place because we have to start from our greatest place value, and that is our 10,000s place. So I notice I have the 3's here. These are all equal. None of this helps me. So if I can't distinguish if it's greater or less, I have to go on to my next place value. And I have a bunch of 6. So this also doesn't help me. So I have to go on to my next one. So this is from greatest to least. So I'm going to look here. I have a 4, 5, 4, and 5. I know my 4's, these two are equal, and I know that my 5's, these two are equal. So I'm going to look at my 5's because these are greater than my 4. So I'm just going to box these in because that's what I'm going to look at first. And I'm going to hold off on these for right now. For the first and third one, I'm going to hold off. And I'm going to look at these two. So I have 5 and 5. Like I said, it can't help me distinguish which one's greater, which one's less. So I go on to my next place value, which is my 10s. I have a 4 and I have a 7. Between 4 and 7, which one is greater? Exactly, my 7 is greater. So I'm going to circle it, check mark it, and say that's it. I stop there. I do not move on with this number. So I know this one's my greatest, and I'm going to put a 1. Since I know that this 5 is greater than the rest of these 3, I can already say this is my number 2. So now let's compare 36,468 and 36,455. Let's compare those two. We already said that our 10,000s and thousands are equal, so it doesn't help me. I also know that my hundreds are equal, so that also doesn't help me. So I move on to my tens. I have a 6 and I have a 5. Out of the 6 and 5, which one is greater? Exactly, my 6. So I'm going to circle it, check mark it, and I stop there. Since I know this is greater than this one, this is my third place. And this is my last one, which is my fourth place. So we're going from greatest to least. So now I'm going to rewrite my numbers to help me. So this is from greatest to least. My number 1 was 36,574. My second place was 36,545. Now what was my third place now that I finished with my first and second? Right here, 36,468. Now last and least is my 36,455. This is from greatest to least. So now let's look. Let's verify. All these are 36. These two are 5s. Go on to the next one. 7, 4. This makes sense. Now let's look at these two. 36, 5, 4. This one's greater, so I know this one's second place, so these two are correct. Now from these two, 36, 36, 4, 4, 6, 5. 6 is greater, so this is here, and this is my answer. Now, let's do this one more time with my letter I. This is my letter I. My first step is to look at the place values. They are all in the hundred thousands. So again, I'm going to write my place value chart with my 100,000s place. So now, I'm going to go with my 100,000s, my 10,000s, my thousands, my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. I will now write down the numbers as I see them. So this is my first number that I see. That's what I'm going to write. This is 425,565. Next, I have 425,456. Now for my next one, I have 525,645. Now, for my last one, I have 425,540. These are the numbers I am comparing. Okay. So now I'm going to look at my 100,000s place. Oh, before I do that, see, I already almost forgot a step. I have to go from least to greatest. I'm going to write it here. Least to greatest. Least to greatest with emphasis. We're doing least to greatest. So now let's look at this paper here. Let's look at my 100,000s place. Of these, which one is my greatest? 4, 4, 5, or 4? And remember, we came to our 100,000s place because we have to go to our highest place value. So I have 4, 4, 5, and 4. Which one is my greatest? 5. Automatically, I know this number here is my greater number. But I'm not trying to find this one first. Since we're going from least to greatest, and this one I already know is my greatest, I know that this is in 4th place. This will be last. So now that we already know about this number, we don't have to focus on it anymore. Let's look at these 3. So these are equal, cannot help us distinguish between these 3, which one is greater. So we go to the next highest place value, which is our 10,000s. These are all 2s. Again, that doesn't help us. So we go to our next place value. All 5s. Again, doesn't help us, so I have to move on to the next greatest place value. So here, I have a 5, a 4, and a 5. So let's see, a 5, a 4, and a 5. Since I know these 2 are equal, I'm going to start off with these two. So, I'm going to box it in. Now let's go to our next place value. Since I know these 5 are equal, so I'm going to go to these right here. This is 6, this is 4. Which one is greater? Exactly. My 6 is greater. So I'm going to put a circle and a check mark and stop there. Since I know this is my next greatest value, I'm going to put this in third place. Since I know this is my other great value, this will be in second place. Now, last but not least, or last but least, is this number right here. And that'll be in first place because we're going from least to greatest. So now let me rewrite my numbers. In first place, I have this number right here. 425,456. Next, I go to my second place, which is 425,546. Now what's in third place? 425,565. Now, with our last place being the greatest, I have 525,645. This is from least to greatest, and we can verify that. 425, 425, 425. Let's go to our next period. 4. Okay, so that's our least. Then we have 5 and 5. We go to the next one, we have 4, 6. This is less than that one. And this one is our greatest. So we have ordered these numbers from greatest to least. We are now going to do letter J. So letter J says, use each of the digits 8, 3, 7, 1, and 2 exactly once to create two different 5-digit numbers. Write each number on the line and use the symbol less than or greater than to compare the two numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First, I'm going to write down my numbers because it told me I have to use number 8, 3, 7, 1, and 2. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are my 5 digits. I'm going to create two numbers with this. So I'm going to just randomly pick 2 to go first. Then I'm going to pick 8. Then I'm going to pick 7, 3, 1. I'm going to draw my circle. And I'm going to write a different number using the same digits. So I'm going to use 8, 7, 2, 1, 3. So now I'm going to compare these two numbers. So I'm going to do the same process. So it's either going to be less than or greater than. So let's compare. I have a 2 in my hundreds, my tens, thousands place. So I'm going to draw my place value chart. Because they are in the 10,000, so I'm going to put a 10 thousands place, and then it is my thousands, then it is my hundreds, then it is my tens, and my ones. I have a 2 in my 10,000s place, an 8 in my thousands, a 7 in my hundreds, a 3 in my tens, and a 1 in my ones. Now I'm going to move on to this number. I have an 8 in my 10,000s place, a 7 in my thousands, a 2 in my hundreds, a 1 in my tens, a 3 in my ones. So I'm going to be comparing these two numbers together. So now, let's go ahead and look one by one. When we compare our numbers, remember, we go with our highest value, our highest place value, and that is our 10,000s place. So let's look here first. I have a 2, and I have an 8. Which one is greater, 2 or 8? That's right, my 8. So I'm going to circle and stop there.
That is my greatest number. So now I'm going to rewrite it. 28,731. Then I'm going to write 887,213. And I want to know which one was greater. That's right, we said this one was greater. So I'm going to put 2 dots here, facing my greater number, and 1 dot facing my number that is least. So I'm going to use that symbol. So this is saying that 28,731 is less than 87,213. And that's my answer for letter J.